Most men stop 5 minutes before the miracle, not because they were too weak, but because they misread the silence. They mistook resistance as a sign to turn around instead of the signal to press forward. Let me tell you the truth. The pressure you feel right now is not punishment. It is proximity. You are closer than you think. The door is not locked. The crown is not lost. But it will not wait forever for the man who hesitates. This message is the voice of your inner command, the you that refuses to fold, the you that knows he was built for more. And if you listen all the way through, if you dare to keep walking when your feelings scream retreat, the man who emerges on the other side will be unbreakable. Don't you dare quit now. Your future is already watching. Every man, no matter how determined, how focused, or how capable, will one day hear a voice whispering from within the shadows of his soul. It will not shout. It will not rage. It will speak with calm suggestion, and it will say, "Stop." It will say, "You've done enough." It will say, "Perhaps this wasn't meant for you." This voice is not weakness, nor is it cowardice. It is the final test before the door opens. It appears when you have pressed long enough for the prize to stir beneath your feet. The voice of quit is the gatekeeper of greatness, and most men untrained in the truth retreat at the very moment they are closest to breakthrough. Every man hears this voice, but only a rare few understand what it truly signals. It is not the sign to turn around. It is the signal to advance without excuse. When your back aches, when your spirit groans, when your vision is clouded by weariness and silence, that is when the reward draws near. The climb feels steepest just before the summit emerges. The night turns coldest before the dawn awakens. So too does the dream resist with greatest force just before it yields its fruit. The pressure you feel is not punishment. It is proximity. Look to the life of Abraham Lincoln. That man failed more times than most men attempt. He lost elections, endured ridicule, navigated personal sorrow and national division. He stood often alone, as the union he swore to preserve seemed to fracture at every seam. He was not chosen by ease. He was chosen by perseverance. And yet, at every turn, when he could have quit and been justified in the eyes of men, he did not. He was never celebrated for his comfort. He was crowned for his refusal to break. The greatness of his legacy was not forged in moments of applause, but in years of silence, doubt, and opposition. You must understand this. The furnace is not a place of failure. It is the workshop of destiny. Fatigue is not the enemy. It is the proof that you are at work upon something worthy. Most men have been taught the lie that exhaustion is a reason to stop. That weariness means you've missed your way. But I tell you now, fatigue is the forge. It is in the ache of continuation, the tremble of yet another step forward, that your soul is purified of weakness. The man who keeps walking while bleeding is the man who becomes legend. Every time you stop short, every time you delay the next call, skip the next task, abandon the next discipline, you train your spirit to kneel before hardship. But the man who says, "I will walk one more step, and then another, he does not merely continue, he conquers, he does not survive, he ascends." I ask you now, are you stopping because your mission is complete or because you are afraid? Are you stepping back because the goal has been won, or because you are listening to the old voice of hesitation dressed once again in the cloak of fatigue? If the fire still burns, even faintly, you have no right to sit. You have no permission to quit, for the fire was not placed in you to entertain. It was placed in you to build. A man's character is not tested in his moments of victory. No, his true identity is revealed in the hours when he is weary, alone, misunderstood, and unseen, when applause has faded, when results have not yet arrived, when the world is silent and the load is heavy. That is when the real decision must be made. You do not finish because the wind is at your back. You finish because your word is stronger than your feelings. Look now at your life, at the path you walk. Are you closer than you've ever been? Are you fighting battles your former self would have fled from? then do not step back now. Do not insult the journey by quitting at the altar of almost. There is a crown with your name on it, but it bows only to the man who finishes, not the fastest, not the loudest, the finisher. You have not come this far to become a cautionary tale. You have not pressed through fire to fold at the edge of glory. If you quit now, you will teach every voice that mocked you to rejoice. If you press forward, even in silence, you will silence them forever. This is not just about a task. This is about your identity. You are either a man who finishes or a man who folds. And the world, your family, your future, they all respond to that choice. Let us set in stone this truth. The world does not reward the effort. It rewards the completion. The crown is not awarded at the halfway mark. The throne is not claimed at the starting line. The man who is celebrated is the man who arrives, despite all that tried to stop him. Finish what you began. And if you are weary, good. That means you are near the place most men never reach. Say aloud now, and declare it without tremble. I bend, but I do not break. Fatigue is my furnace. Repeat it until your body obeys, until your mind forgets how to stop, until your spirit walks forward without needing to be convinced. You are not done because you are tired. You are done only when the task is complete. And if you have not yet crossed the finish, then you must get up. You must move. You must return to your post, not as one who hopes, but as one who commands. For destiny does not belong to the comfortable. It belongs to the man who keeps walking through fire, through fear, through silence, through rejection, the man who finishes while bleeding, the man who writes his legacy not in ease but in motion. Don't you dare quit now. The crown is already yours. All that remains is the final step. Most men do not fall because of weakness in muscle or lack of opportunity. They fall because they forget. Not forget how to build, not forget how to endure, but forget why they began. The memory of the mission fades, and in its absence, the discomfort of effort appears too heavy to carry. The labor becomes lonely, the work appears pointless, and a man who once marched like a conqueror begins to shuffle like the defeated. But hear me well, no man quits because he is tired. He quits because he has lost hold of the fire that once animated his steps. You must not forget. You must never lose sight of the vision that summoned you from the crowd and commanded you to build. If you began with boldness, you must walk with it until the task is complete. When a man forgets the vision that moved him to begin, he becomes vulnerable to every whisper of doubt, every delay, every small defeat. He begins to entertain voices he once silenced. He begins to second-guess decisions once made in certainty. And worse, he becomes susceptible to the seduction of comfort, of ease, of rest, of slowing down just for a moment. But greatness does not rest in the arms of comfort. Greatness is wedded to perseverance, and it divorces every man who forgets his vow. Look to the life of Henry Ford. The man was mocked for attempting what others deemed impossible. He was ridiculed for imagining a world where the common man could own a machine that rivaled a chariot. They called him foolish, unstable, and naive. His early designs failed, his money dwindled, factories broke, partnerships dissolved. Yet he did not bend, he did not retreat. Why? Because his reason was bigger than their ridicule. His mission was greater than their mockery. He had caught a vision so vivid, so real, so personal, that no hardship could convince him otherwise. He remembered every day why he began, and because of that, he endured longer than those who doubted him. That, my friend, is the difference between the celebrated and the forgotten. One remembers his mission when it hurts. The other forgets it when comfort whispers. You must do what very few men are taught to do. You must write your reason, not once, not for memory, but for reverence. Take pen to parchment and scribe the very sentence that brought you here, the sentence that commands your obedience and burns within your chest. It may be a name, It may be a dream. It may be a vow to never return to who you once were. Whatever it is, write it and carry it with you, in your coat pocket, in your ledger, beneath your pillow. Not for sentiment, but for battle. Because when resistance comes, and it will, you will not fight with emotion alone. You will fight with clarity of purpose. And clarity is the sword that cuts through every fog of fatigue. Do not assume you are beyond forgetting. Even the strongest men are prone to drift when storms arise. But the man who reviews his reason daily is the man who cannot be seduced by distraction. He sees the mountain he has sworn to climb. He hears the echo of the vow he made before a silent world, and that memory drives him to step again. Even when there is no music, no audience, no applause, he rises because his reason remains. Before you lay your head to rest each evening, make it your ritual to return to that reason. Hold it in your hands. Read it aloud. Let your spirit recall what your flesh may have begun to forget. Remind yourself who you are, what you vowed, and why the labor is worthy. This small act performed daily will shield you from the slow erosion of doubt. It will return fire to your eyes. You are not simply tired. You are at war. And every soldier must remember the cause for which he marches. Many men confuse rest with retreat. But I say unto you, rest is not escape. It is preparation. A soldier rests not to abandon the fight, but to return stronger to it. You do not rest because you are weak. You rest because you are building something that requires strength. Let your rest serve your mission, not replace it. And let your mission be so deeply etched into your soul that even sleep cannot steal it. Understand this. Your reason is your compass. When storms rise, and they will, your plans may bend, your methods may change, but your reason must remain. If you protect it, it will protect you. It will anchor you when all else wavers. It will whisper strength into your spine when every part of you wants to turn back. And in time, that reason, once written in ink, will be engraved in identity. You will no longer need to search for discipline. You will become discipline. You will not need to search for courage. You will become courage. Let me speak plainly. No man ever achieved anything worth remembering who did not suffer moments of doubt, of fatigue, of discouragement. But those who prevailed, those whose names are now written into the annals of history, were those who reminded themselves daily, "This is why I fight. This is why I rise again. This is why I will not quit." And they were right to do so. For the world does not bend to those who start with fire. It bends to those who finish with it. Declare these words with me now. My reason outruns resistance. I do not rest because I am tired. I rest to return stronger. Let those affirmations become not merely sayings, but standards. Standards by which you walk, build, rise, and endure. And if ever again you hear the voice that whispers, "Stop," I charge you to answer it with your reason. Speak it aloud. Let it know that you have not forgotten, that you still remember, and that you are still coming. Do not mistake delay for defeat. The crown has not moved. The dream has not fled. It waits for the man who remembers why he began and dares to finish. Do not quit. Not now, not ever. One of the most subtle poisons known to the spirit of man is not failure. It is comparison. It does not arrive like a storm. It drips slowly, quietly. It looks harmless. It speaks in the tone of reason. Look how far he has gone, it says. Why are you still here? And before a man has even built his foundation, he is already questioning his blueprint. His tools fall from his hand, not because they were too heavy, but because his eyes wandered from his task. Let me speak plainly. Comparison is the graveyard where many dreams are buried, still breathing. You must understand this. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are building. And no man ever built a cathedral while looking sideways. His eyes were set on stone and sky. But too many men destroy the work of their hands because they are watching the towers others have already raised. They forget that greatness is not inherited. It is assembled brick by brick. They forget that the structure they admire once began as dust and vision. same as theirs. And because they forget, they quit. Not because they lacked power, but because they lacked patience. The greatest deception in the world is the illusion of someone else's pace. You do not know the storms he weathered. You do not know the battles he fought in silence. You see his harvest, but not his tilling. You see his victory, but not his vigil. You see the crown, but not the calluses. And so you assume you are behind, when in truth you are simply at the beginning. But beginnings are sacred. They are pure. They are where identity is forged and doubt is drowned. If you quit now, you dishonor not just your future, but the very voice that summoned you to begin. Remember Barnes. He came to Edison with nothing but the fire of desire. He had no wealth, no title, no inheritance. He arrived with so little that most men would have turned him away at the door. But what did Edison see? He saw conviction. He saw posture. He saw a man who did not compare himself to the titans of industry, but instead walked like one. And it was that self-perception, planted long before reward, that made him a partner, not a pawn. Had Barnes looked left and right, he would have walked away. But he looked within, and so he stayed. And because he stayed, he became. Let this be your creed. I will not measure time. I will measure obedience. Time will deceive you. Time will whisper that it's too late, that you've gone too slow, that others are too far ahead. But obedience is always on time. Obedience does not ask the hour, it listens for the voice. And when the voice says build, you build. When it says rise, you rise. When it says now, you move without apology. Obedience is the compass that never lies, and the man who follows it is never behind, only becoming. There is a rule that must govern your thoughts from this day forward. Write it, engrave it, speak it aloud each morning. The only competition is my own hesitation. No man on this earth can delay you, limit you, or defeat you more than your own doubt. His pace does not affect your promise. His success does not cancel your assignment. His crown does not diminish your own. The path you walk was carved for your feet alone, and if you walk it without wavering, it will take you where no comparison ever could. You may say, but I've already delayed. I've already doubted. I've already drifted. Then let this moment be your return. Let this word be the trumpet that calls you back to your focus. It is not too late. Your dream has not fled. It waits for the man who dares to shut his eyes to distraction and open them to destiny. You do not need their timeline. You need your tenacity. You do not need their approval. You need your persistence. You do not need to move like them. You need to move like you, decided, disciplined, and undistracted. Every great monument was once invisible. Every legacy began as silence, and the men who made them real were those who kept building while no one watched. They did not compare. They did not compete. They constructed. Their bricks were decisions. Their cement was consistent. Their reward? A life the doubters could not explain and the imitators could not replicate. You are no different. You were sent to build. And to build, you must first silence every voice that would pull your eyes from your path. Declare this with me now. I walk my path as if no other exists. Comparison is the thief of my throne. Let these words become more than sentences. Let them be the sword that cuts away distraction, the hammer that shapes your resolve. Every time you are tempted to measure your progress against another, remember, kings do not glance, they govern. They are too focused on their rule to envy another's reign. And you, my friend, were born to rule over your thoughts, over your habits, over your results. Your journey may be longer than others. It may be quieter. It may involve delays, detours, and days where the progress seems invisible. But if you stay faithful to your task, if you obey the voice within, you will arrive. And not only will you arrive, but you will arrive with identity. For that is the true reward, not the applause, not the riches, not the throne, but the transformation of the man who refused to turn back, refused to look around, and chose instead to become. So I ask you now, with all the urgency of a man who has seen both crowns and graves, Will you continue to compare, or will you command? Will you measure your worth by the timeline of others, or by the obedience of your own spirit? The choice is yours. But know this, the throne will not wait for the man who hesitates. It was built for the man who endures. Begin again, focus again, move again. And this time, let your eyes stay forward, your hands stay building, and your voice declare what is already written. There is a rhythm to the man who refuses to fall. You can hear it in his footsteps, not because they echo louder, but because they continue when others have gone silent. The man of resilience does not walk to applause. He walks through thunder. He walks when the storm screams that it is over, because he has learned a truth that most men will never accept. Resistance is not the end of the road. It is the sound of the door unlocking. There is a cycle that governs all meaningful progress. First comes resistance. Then, if the man is bold, comes decision. Decision births movement. Movement births reward. And reward, inevitably, brings more resistance. That is the pattern. That is the price. But the man who mistakes resistance for rejection will never hold the crown. He will sit in the crowd, clapping for the man who understood the rhythm and dance through the pain. Most men do not quit because they are weak. They quit because their reason for beginning was too small to sustain them. They thought a wish would be enough. They hoped a passing desire would withstand pressure. But wishes wither where storms dwell. Only a man driven by purpose, by something greater than comfort, survives the rhythm. When the trials press in, when the path becomes thorned, the shallow dreamer begs to return to comfort. But the man who burns with reason, he leans in. He moves forward faster, because he knows that the pressure is the proof that the prize is real. Consider Quezon. He did not ask gently for freedom. He demanded it. While the empire mocked, while his peers pleaded for patience, Quezon declared the liberty of a people not yet free. His boldness was called madness. His speeches were laughed at. But he knew something the cowards did not. He knew that pressure was not punishment, it was passage. It was the toll gate to destiny. And he paid it, not once, but daily. Because he understood that purpose, properly declared, gives a man spine when the world gives him stones. You must learn to outpace your own hesitation. When the weight increases, do not slow. When the critics come, do not explain. Move faster, double the pace, run if you must. But do not pause to pity yourself. Do not entertain the voice of, maybe I should stop. That voice does not come from the throne, it comes from the grave. Kill it with movement. There is a practice I urge you to adopt, and it will save your soul in the storm. Keep a proof journal. Each night before rest, write down one proof of progress, one action taken, one barrier broken, one temptation resisted. Let no day pass unrecorded. The man who tracks his battles cannot forget that he is at war. And the man who remembers he is at war moves like a conqueror, not a civilian. You are not called to survive, you are called to command. You are not here to try, you are here to finish, to take hold of what was written for you before the resistance began. Every time you are tempted to retreat, remind yourself this is not punishment, this is passage. The fire is not here to consume you. It is here to confirm you. Move. Move not because it is easy, but because the cost of quitting is too high to bear. Move not because others understand, but because you understand. And when you begin to stumble, when fatigue comes clawing at your feet, remember this rhythm: resistance, decision, movement, reward, resistance. It is not personal, it is universal. But so is victory for the man who keeps going. There is a lie that men have swallowed for generations, a dangerous one. It says that action must be born of inspiration, that movement should wait upon the arrival of mood. This deception has slain more dreams than any enemy outside. For the man who waits to feel strong before he acts will be governed by delay his entire life. You were not born to wait for inspiration. You were born to summon it through obedience. There is no storm too loud, no darkness too deep, no fatigue too great that it can silence a man who has made a decision. Emotion may tremble, thoughts may wander, but decision, true, burning, absolute decision, stands firm like the ancient mountains. You must understand this deeply. You will not always feel like a king.